Hello YouTube world, it is Liam, the Deaf Doom Metalhead, and I'm doing a collection update because I haven't done a video in what feels like absolutely ages. And yeah, to be honest, I haven't found the time to do it, and real life is real, and sometimes doing YouTube videos is kind of the back of my mind. I love doing them, but sometimes when I have so much on, especially now it's summer holidays and the kids are around, and I'm going on holiday next week, you know, finding the time to do these has been really tricky. But I've got a nice big juicy stack here of metal, all from 2021. These are all new releases for this year, so if you're after them, you should be able to find them. A couple of tapes, but most of these are CDs, because obviously with the whole pandemic thing, vinyl was kind of tricky to get hold of, especially for newer stuff. Older stuff is a piece of piss. But newer stuff, you know, I wanted these albums and I wasn't 100% all in on the vinyl version of them, so I've got them on the CD, and I'm happy with that. So yeah. We'll crack on because there's a lot to get through, and I want to, you know, tell everyone as much info as I can when I show these. So we'll start with the 3 tapes I've got to show. Now, many people have hailed this as the death metal album of the year, but I disagree. I like it, but wouldn't go that far. So this is the new one from Cerebral Rot. This is called Excretion of Mortality. Came out for a $20 spin this year. And again, this one is now you can get on vinyl, but at the start it was very hard to find. You can get on tape very easily, and I already have the first album on tape up on the wall, so I thought, why not, you know, break my OCD? I'll just get the tape of this version as well. And I'm kind of glad I did, because I really like it. It's proper nasty death metal with lots of doomy influences in there, a shit ton of pinch harmonics, but you kind of expect that with this kind of band. The artwork people say is really gross. You know, to me it really isn't. I don't really understand why people get offended by that. I don't see it. I find it really cool. You know, it's just a really easy to listen to death doomy kind of death metal album. There's no amazing difference to the last album. I actually prefer the first one, if I'm brutally honest. But you know, it's a solid band churning out some, you know, decent death metal. I really like it, but you know, I was expecting something a bit more grander with this release, if I'm being honest. You know, the hype behind it, I was going to expect some massive change maybe in like the style and production, but if anything it's more murkier than the last release, dirtier, and like I said, there's so many pinch harmonics. I mean, it'd be amazing if you could try and add up each track how many pinch harmonics are thrown in, and I'm guilty of it myself, but even on this one I was just like, wow, there's a lot of pinch harmonics on that. But either way, not slating it at all, solid album, go check it out. Now this one, most people probably haven't heard of this one, and to be honest, this was a blind buy for me. I got it through Repose Records here in the UK on a sale, and I listened to like maybe 1 track of it on Spotify before I purchased it, liked what I heard, and jumped straight on board. And that is the new one by DSKNT. I'm using notes for anyone who doesn't know, so if you see me look over that way, it's because there's a lot of information. Now this is a one-man project from Switzerland. It does all the instrumental work, bar the vocals. So the vocals are done by someone else, but he goes by the name of Askent, or ASKNT, not sure how you pronounce it. There'll be a picture of him hopefully pop up here. And yeah, really good blackened death metal. So this is more emphasis on the atmosphericness of death metal, where you get that big bang of atmosphere that creates with loads of noiseescapes. Big empty spaces are filled with like drony noises and stuff like that. And then it's just pummeled, you know, with lots of death metal and black metal thrown in. And it was quite a cool listen. It was very different to most things out there. It's just put out through Sentient Ruin, who normally go for the more obscure sounding bands that kind of have like an arty feel to them almost, you could say. And this is no different from them. You know, I knew what I was going to get myself in for when I saw the record label. I kind of wanted some of that atmospheric death metal with like a blackened touch to it, and this guy's doing it spot on for me. You know, it's got the black metal edge to it and the rawness of it, but it has that really gritty death metal style, just to keep it heavy and really angry. So go check that one out if you haven't, because that is really cool, and I'm fairly sure this is still on sale on Repose Records, so if you know that label, I'll obviously leave links to this so you can check it out. But yeah, really cool tape. And the last one of the tapes is a German death doom band, but more leaning on the doomier side. You could almost say it's funeral doom almost, but it's a new one from Calliophis. Now this is the 3rd full length from these guys. It's a German based death doom, but more funerally doomy kind of style. Songs are very like slow, morbid, very heavy though, very heavy. Really cool clear tape there, I really like that. But this has got very catchy melodies for me, very hooky. I'll show you the J card on this one, because it's got some kind of cool theme for the lyrics there, that kind of old look to it, which I like. And there's a picture of the band there. So again, this was I think Paul from the band Enchantment recommended this to me on his Instagram. I checked it out, and like I said, I really enjoyed it. There is a CD version of it as well, but I got this directly from the band. There's 50 there, I got number 41. So yeah, really cool album. I like the artwork, that's kind of made my mind up to buy it. I had a little listen on Bandcamp, and again, really enjoyed it. My kind of Death Doom, you know, really slow, heavy, thick, you know, has it all there, lots of melody as well. And if you really like it, I did get a download code in there, so if you want that, jump on that straight away. But I've already got it through Bandcamp, so I already have it, so I don't need it. So yeah, hopefully someone will make use of that. So that's Calliophis. So now, all CDs here, and they are varied in styles, not all doomy and death metal. There are some little gems in there. So the first one is some death thrash from Texas. This is more death metal, but it's certainly got a thrashy beat to it. It goes in at a whopping 25 minutes, this whole album comes through as 8 tracks, and I love this. Comes out through Redefining Darkness, and that is a new one from Kryptik Mutation with Paul from the Pit. Now, that album artwork was the sole reason I brought this album in the first place. I saw that, and I just thought, I need that. It just looks awesome. It just spoke to me. Now, when I checked it out, 25 minutes, you know, it does exactly what it says on the tin. You go in, you listen to it, you go out, you want it on again and again and again. It's so good. But what really sold it for me was the guy called Christopher De Leon. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing your name right, mate. But his vocal style is perfect death metal vocals for me. It's really guttural, really heavy, but you can understand every single word he is saying. Like kind of like Frank Mullen for Suffocation. You know exactly what he's saying, but it's still really brutal. And this guy does exactly the same thing for me. This is very thrashy. It's got a lot of thrash beats in there, and you can tell these guys are thrashers as well. And the artwork kind of leans to it as well, I think. Very 80s looking thrash to me. But this was absolutely solid, a really killer album. Proper heavy death metal, that Texas style. But it's got loads of thrashy elements into it to kind of speed it up. And that 25 minutes, like I say, you just want to put it on again and again. So go check that one out if you haven't, because that was really good. Next one is another German doom band. Through Iron Bonehead Records out this year. Well, these are all out 2021. And that is the band Crossfault. Now, I really like this. I kind of listened to this on a recommendation that I probably like it because it's more in the traditional metal, like the traditional doom, like say, it's like Manila Road vibes to it. It's got a lot of what's the fucking band called? It'll come to me eventually. But anyway, traditional doom with a kind of pagan vibe to it almost. It's very kind of, it's also got like a Grand Magus, if you know that band. It's got that kind of vibe to it as well. But you know, I really like this, and the melodies on it and the vocal style, it really sealed it for me, and I had to have it. How many tracks you got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tracks. And yeah, a proper album this is. It's very musical, like very melodic, story driven almost in the vocals and how it builds the songs. And there's some really catchy songs on here. And this year for Germany as well, there's so many bands, and even in this pile there's still quite a few to go through that are German. The country's just chucked out so many releases this year. And like that Wheel album that came out this year, there's 2 actually from Germany called Wheel that put an album out this year, and Crossfault have done a really cool album as well. And yeah, can't recommend this enough. So if you have never listened to this band before, go check this one out. This is also their 3rd full length, and yeah, go check out some Crossfault. Next one is the debut full length from this Finnish death metal band. The band is called Revulsion. This was put out through Transcending Obscurity, as you could probably tell because the trademark shiny cases that they put out on every bloody release. Not a fan of it myself. Some of them look really smart, but it's just a pain in the ass for me. But the digipack's really well built, and this is now on vinyl. This was originally only going to be put out on CD, but it is very popular, and there's a good reason why. Solid Finnish death metal, no different really from any other Finnish death metal band you've heard before. They pretty much have the same blueprint. Really guttural, really over the top heavy, and it's just brilliant. Really enjoyed this. This band formed, I believe, well, their debut EP came out in 2010, so it took them till now to put out a full length. That's over 10 years, isn't it? And I think they formed in 2005, so they're not the most productive of bands, but you know, this is killer, absolutely killer. I really, really enjoyed this. So go check out Revulsion if you haven't, because that was a really good one. Now this one was a band I checked out purely on the hype. I wasn't really sold on it at first when I first looked at it, kind of checked it out, but then when I listened to it properly, I made my mind up and I purchased it, so I actually listened to this quite a few times now. And that is a new one from Hulder. This is a debut full length, and I won't try and pronounce it, so it'll all be down there so you can read it. But this is a one-woman black metal band. She does everything in this band. I think she might have a hired drummer though, I can't remember. So don't hurt me if I'm wrong, but this is cool, really, really cool. Now, like I said, this is raw black metal, so I'm not a massive fan of the raw kind of nature of black metal, but this year, the more bands I listen to, I've kind of changed my mind a little bit on that, and I'm a bit more accepting of it. But this one was really cool just based on how unique it sounds. It's very musical, there's lots of different elements in there, and what she's doing is really, really cool, because it's got that old school vibe to it. Now, I can't pronounce her name, so I'm going to try anyway, just for fun. Her name is Mars. I won't go for the surname, but she was originally born in Belgium, and then she moved to, I think it was Portland area, or eventually into Portland, where she's based now in America. And yeah, this is like medieval kind of esque black metal, and you know, I can't really speak highly of it enough. You have to check it out for yourself really to get a feel for it, because it's got that very 90s, early 90s black metal sound to it. And for a one-woman black metal band, that's really cool to see. She goes for the whole makeup thing as well. You know, it's not, nothing was held back. It's not trying to be modern. It's not trying to be unique. It's just being, you know, old school sounding black metal with a kind of raw edge to it. And the melodies on this are absolutely killer. So go check out that. Next one is some Mexican death doom. Mexico do really, really good death doom. There's a good number of bands from Mexico I have in my collection that do death metal, they do doom metal, and they do it really, really well. And this one here is the latest from Majestic Downfall. I'm a massive fan of this band. Got the previous two albums before this one. This is a new one called Aorta, or Aorta, however you pronounce that. Put out through Personal Records. Now this was a one-man project, and the guy's name was Jacobo, who also runs Personal Records, so he's put it out on his label this year. But this album is a massive, massive step up from the last one and the one before that. He's now got a few other guys in the writing team for this band, and this is going to be a top 10 at the end of the year for me, easily. It's so good. This is how death doom to me should be done. It's got so much melody on it, it's so heavy. I think there's only like 4 tracks, yeah. And it's absolutely killer, so good. The melodies on this are what sold it for me. Like when you go for old school death doom bands like My Dying Bride, Paradise Lost, their older stuff's remembered more for the melodies used on certain songs, and you can hum them. And this album's got bags of it, absolute bags of it. The album artwork is really cool. The more you look at it, the more you kind of pick out as you study it. I mean, the band logo you can't even really make out at all, so it was interesting how they kind of just chucked that in there like that, because you can't read it, and it's no easier on the CD, to be fair. But the artwork is absolutely killer, and this will be in my top 10 at the end of the year. I'm 100% sure of that now, just because out of all the death doom I've heard this year, this one is sticking out the most to me. It's a really, really good album, and obviously we've still got a few more months to go yet before the end of the year, but this will be up there, I'm fairly sure, because this was absolutely killer. So go check that one out. Check all these out. Now over to Canada. This is the second full length, I think. Is it the second full length? Yes. From these Canadian death metalers, Altered Dead. This was put out through Memento Mori. And I heard the first album through Cavernous Records. Chris over there put that one out. And I liked it, but it didn't really draw me in. But then I listened to this one, and I absolutely love it. Killer Canadian death metal, not too dissimilar to other Canadian death metal bands like Tomb Mold and bands like that. You know, they're very similar style, very similar production. It also has a Celtic Frost cover on the end, Into the Crypts of Rays, which was really cool to see. Big Celtic Frost fan. And yeah, you know, no different to other death metal albums this year, or even, you know, previous years. There's no uniqueness to this album, should we say. Just good, solid death metal riffing. So if you like that, you know you're going to enjoy that, no brainer. Now, these next two were put out through Aesthetic Death Records here in the UK. Stu runs an amazing label and distro that is more doomy, black metal, you know, that kind of vein. But there's also some gems in there. If you go through his distro, you'll find some absolute quality at a really good price. He's one of those guys in the UK that's not doing it for the money. He's doing it purely just to get the bands out there. And he's put out the, I think this is the excuse me, the third full length. Oh, you can tell I haven't done one of these in a while. Third full length from this funeral doom band, but also death doom. I'd say more death doom with a funeral edge to it. Only 3 tracks though, so you can kind of see where I'm coming from. I have to have a drink here, don't I? Oh, hopefully I won't get spanked by the sponsors for that. But anyway, the sponsors. So this is Suffer Yourself with Riptide. This comes in a really, really nice digipack. Not massively a fan of digipacks, but Chris Stew over Aesthetic Death always does them really nice thick card. Now, Suffer Yourself is a band formed by a Ukrainian chap as a solo project, and over the years it's grown, and then now there's members from Sweden in there, and it's kind of become a full band. And this album, I've got the first one, I need to pick up, I think Ectoplasm is the second one, but this one is a massive step up. It's very, very heavy, the production on it is really crisp. It's mastered by Craig Chandler, who's the guitarist and mastermind behind Esoteric here in the UK. And it has that esoteric sound to it. That's where the funeral doom kind of style kicks into it. You can tell they're massive fans of Esoteric. But yeah, absolutely killer album. Really, really enjoyed this. I knew this was going to be good. I'm probably going to get the vinyl version of this at some point. But because I had the first album on CD, I kind of didn't want to break that up with my OCD. But yeah, absolutely killer album. Really recommend this if you're into your kind of drawn out, doomy aspects of death metal. Because it's got that death growl, and then you got that kind of really atmospheric doomy edge to it, but the guitar tone is absolutely crushing. So that's Suffer Yourself. Next one is another Aesthetic Death Records release. This time is a 2-piece from Denmark and is masterminded, I think, by the drummer from the band Altars of Oblivion called Danny Woe. So he does all the vocals, the drumming, the guitar work, I think, all the bass work at least. And this is a really cool album. So this is Funeral Chasm with the album Omniversal Existence. Now this was a kind of a weird one for me because I liked it and I don't like it, because I like the doominess of it. It's got a lot of different kind of influences in this band. So I'm a big Altars of Oblivion fan. They're like an epic doom band, and when I say epic, very epic. The vocals are great, and they put out like some absolute stellar music. And so when I heard the guy, the drummer from the band, is doing his own kind of doomy project through Stu's label, I thought I'm going to check it out. So this was a blind buy for me, and it's a 2-piece, and it's a bit long. I think it's over an hour long, and it's cool, but it's got some weird elements to it. So some of the clean kind of singing with the kind of the vocal style to kind of give the emotion of some of the songs, I'm guessing. I like it, I don't like it. It's still growing on me. I've only had about 3 listens of this so far, but the death metal stuff that comes in on this, I love to bits. And the musical styles, it goes from like a really death doomy vibe to almost a gothic-y kind of vibe. And I think that's where I start to lose interest in a little bit, because I'm not the biggest fan of goth metal. And there's a lot of that kind of keyboard-esque sounds in there that comes across with that style of music. And yeah, give it a try and see what you think. I think this is embossed here. And you know, absolutely cool band, but it's something I need to kind of listen to more and more, because it's such a long listen. It's not something you just put on quickly when you're out and about. You have to really sit down with this album to kind of take it in properly. But yeah, give it worth a try. And you know, Aesthetic Death always kind of put these bands out where they're experimental almost with their sound. They're not trying to be a certain band. They're doing their own thing, and that's why I enjoy bands like this. It's hard to listen to sometimes, I'm honest with it. You know, I'm not going to say I love it to bits, because there's certain parts of it I don't like, and they're still growing on me, and no doubt, you know, I will like it eventually for all of it, but there's little bits of it that I'm kind of growing on me. But yeah, a really cool album and a really cool band. Right, next one is another band that musically I'm really, really enjoying, but vocally I've got no idea what's going on. Germany's Grabunhold, I think it's pronounced. Now this is a black metal band from Germany, and it's all sung in German. All the vocals, the lyrics, everything is in German. Put out through Iron Bonehead this year, and the reason I picked this up is purely because musically this sounds like very early Emperor, and it has that kind of, it's Tolkien themed, I believe. And the artwork kind of tells you that almost. It's got that nod to it. Medieval-esque, fantasy kind of style, black metal, loads of melody on it, and that's what sold it for me. It was more, it reminded me of my kind of favourite black metal bands like Emperor. It's nods to kind of Satyricon on some parts of it. But it is, again, this is a long album as well. It does drag on a little bit, but I think that's because I can't take the lyrics in to kind of understand where the songs are going and how they're building, because it's all sung in German. But musically, it's absolutely killer. But it's a little bit long for me, and it was one of those ones I blind bought just because I liked the melodies of it. There's the CD. And the chaps in there with a full get-up on, which is what you want to see with your medieval-esque black metal bands. But yeah, a cool listen, and an album I've seen literally no one talk about yet. For probably a reason, because it's in German and a lot of people shy away from stuff like that. But I'm a Rammstein fan, and you know, it doesn't bother me what bands sing in like language-wise, as long as the music's killer, I'll always listen to it. And yeah, a really cool band, so check out that one. And the last one on this list is a death metal band. This is an EP, debut EP from a two-piece band based in Portland, and this is Paraphilia with Primordium of Sinister, Butchery. This was put out through Brutal Cave Productions over in Portugal. What you get is 3 tracks of absolutely pummeling death metal. When I mean pummeling, I mean really fucking heavy. It's almost kind of sounds like a slam death metal band, which would totally put me off. But there's only a pinch of slam in there, like in the style to a point, and then it goes full blistering death metal. There's some really chuggy moments in there, some technical moments in there, and then like I said, these are the 2-piece, so there's only one guy doing the vocals, and then the other guy's doing all the instruments, drums, bass, guitar, the works. And the last track is a Deicide cover of They Are the Children of the Underworld, which we all love if you're a Deicide fan, classic Deicide song. But yeah, really cool band, one that was completely new to me. I blind bought this one as well when I was putting an order in at Brutal Cave Productions, and you know, I wasn't disappointed at all. Really solid stuff, and for a 2-piece, which surprised me even more, it's very, very technical and very varied in death metal styles. So like I say, you've got a bit of slam in there, there's some grindy kind of moments in there, some brutal, slowy death metal moments in there. So yeah, really enjoying that, and that's one that's easy to listen to because there's only 3 tracks, so you know, that's been getting a lot of spins, so go check that one out. So yeah, that was my 2021 update part 2, I guess, because I've done that early in the year with a load of other 2021 albums. But when I was looking through an update of what to show, I noticed I had a big stack of albums from this year that I haven't shown yet, so I thought, why not put it all in one video, because I haven't done a video for a little while. So thank you for watching if you've survived this long. Next video I'm going to do a different kind of collection update. These were gifts given to me by 2 people, and they're absolutely amazing. I've been listening to them a fair bit so I can actually talk about it, because I don't want to do one of those videos where people just kind of show something not really knowing what they talk about. You know, it's great to receive stuff, but unless you can talk about it, there's no real point filming it, because you can't really show gratitude to something you don't really know, if that makes sense. So the next video I'm hopefully going to do this week before I go on holiday. Chuck that out there as well, and then I'll go silent for a week or 2, and then I'll come back and hopefully do some more. So please like and subscribe to the channel if you are new here, or just like the video in general, just to keep YouTube on my side. And until then, I will speak to you guys soon. Cheers.